Trubisky and the Chicago Bears are back in the playoff hunt. If they beat the Green Bay Packers this upcoming Sunday, they will make the 2020 NFL playoffs. So listen, Chicago, it's simple. Win and you're in. Okay, win and you're in. Now, do I believe Chicago's going to win the game? No, I think Chicago's a fraud. I said roughly about 5 weeks ago, they're not a playoff team, and up to this point, I stand by that. I believe the Arizona Cardinals are going to get that final playoff spot, but that's a story for another day. Let's zero in on Mitchell Trubisky, the former number 2 overall pick. I wasn't a huge supporter of Mitchell Trubisky when he was coming out of North Carolina. I felt that he was overdrafted. He only had 1 year of production. He had an average arm to me. He's still got an average arm to this day. It's not like his arm's gotten much stronger. And I just didn't think that he was the best fit for Chicago, especially considering the fact that Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes were on the board at the time. And I felt that Mahomes and Deshaun Watson were better quarterbacks coming out than Mitchell Trubisky. I was actually higher on Mahomes than most people, okay? But, Mitchell Trubisky, he's had a rough road in the NFL so far. Maybe not necessarily a rough road, but he's been a disappointment as a first-round pick, especially being the number 2 overall pick of the draft. And part of me feels bad for Mitchell Trubisky because I don't think that he's ever going to live up to the expectations that were put upon him at the time because, listen, now he's competing with Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. Usually, you're compared to your contemporaries from your draft class. And Mahomes and Watson, they're top 5 quarterbacks. And Mitchell Trubisky, he's not that good. And look, Mitchell Trubisky, he did lose his starting job earlier in the year versus the Atlanta Falcons. He regained the job because of Nick Foles' injury and really because Nick Foles wasn't playing all that well. And Mitchell Trubisky, he's shown some improvements over the past 5 games. The team is 3-2, and they're back in the playoff hunt. But Chicago Bears fans, you got to slow down. All you saying, look at Trubisky. Did you see Trubisky? Did you see what he did last week? Yeah, I saw Trubisky defeat a 1-win Jacksonville Jaguars team. Do you want a cookie, Chicago Bears fans? Is that the standards that your franchise has for quarterbacks? Because I understand you haven't had a great quarterback in a long time. The best quarterback for the Chicago Bears, probably in the last 20 years, is Jay Cutler. And what was the knock about Jay Cutler? He's talented, but he doesn't work hard. He's not passionate about the game of football. That was the knock on Jay Cutler. Okay? And here's the thing, folks. The Chicago Bears haven't had a quarterback in a long time, and because their standards are so low, they're praising Mitchell Trubisky so over the top every time he does well. And in reality, folks, we have to put on our glasses and our lenses and examine this 3-game winning streak the Chicago Bears are on, where they've beaten the terrible Houston Texans, they've beaten the below-average Minnesota Vikings, and a 1-win Jacksonville Jaguars team. And listen, folks, I don't give a rip about Mitchell Trubisky's record. I'm sorry, Bears fans. Every time I argue with Chicago Bears fans, they say, look at Mitchell Trubisky's record. Look at his record as a starter. If records meant everything for quarterbacks, then Jimmy Garoppolo and Dak Prescott would be top 5 quarterbacks. That's not the case. Mark Sanchez has gotten to multiple conference championship games. Blake Bortles has gotten to a conference championship game. Case Keenum has gotten to a conference championship game. You can win games with average to below average quarterback play. However, here's the reality, people. If you're the Chicago Bears, don't get sucked into this. Trubisky's a below average passer. He's a bust. And right now, Mitchell Trubisky, he's the worst starting quarterback in all of football, people. And it's not even close in my opinion. I'm sorry. And for those of you that are going to argue at me, they're going to argue with me and get at me and be super duper mad about that statement, I ask you this question. what current starting quarterback is Mitchell Trubisky better than? Is he better than Alex Smith? No. Alex Smith's more accurate. He's better at reading defenses. He's a better distributor of the football. He's a more accomplished quarterback. Is Mitchell Trubisky better than Sam Darnold? I'd say no. Sam Darnold, he's got a bigger arm. He's got more upside. He's got more potential. See, my knock on Mitchell Trubisky is this. He's had good wide receivers. He's had good tight ends. He's had solid running games. Matt Nagy, to me, is a better head coach than you people are willing to give him credit for. And Mitchell Trubisky, he's done nothing with it. He's wasted away this great Chicago Bears roster. And I'm not the biggest Sam Darnold fan, I've said in the past. I don't think Sam Darnold is ever going to become a great quarterback. But give me Sam Darnold over Mitchell Trubisky all day and every day of the week. Because Sam Darnold, he's a more talented thrower of the football than Mitchell Trubisky. Is Mitchell Trubisky better than Daniel Jones? Maybe. Daniel Jones has regressed this year. But last year, Daniel Jones, as a rookie, threw 24 touchdowns to 12 interceptions on a bad team. Mitchell Trubisky, he wasn't doing that on a bad team as a rookie. Is Mitchell Trubisky better than Drew Lock? It's close, but I say no. Drew Lock has a better arm than Mitchell Trubisky. Way more upside. Carson Wentz, as bad as Carson Wentz has been, we've seen Carson Wentz play at an MVP level. A year ago, Carson Wentz was arguably a top 10 quarterback in all football. In fact, not arguably, last year, he was a top 10 quarterback. And the thing about Mitchell Trubisky is he's just holding Chicago back, folks. He's got an average arm. He's slow to process, and I don't see much. I think Mitchell Trubisky has been holding the Chicago Bears back for a long time. Chicago, it's time to draft another quarterback. It's time to go out and sign another franchise quarterback that's legit. It's time, Chicago. The Mitchell Trubisky train is not one I want to take a ride on. And listen, if Mitchell Trubisky makes the playoffs this year and he wins a playoff game, I might change my mind. But I don't believe that's going to happen. So Mitchell Trubisky, all I'm going to say is prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, because as I speak today, it's hard for me to believe that Mitchell Trubisky is not the worst starting quarterback in all football. Mitchell Trubisky is a bust. Accept it, Chicago Bears fans and Chicago Bears organization, if you're serious about competing long term. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the juiciest Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big-time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the juiciest Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God bless day, and I'm out.